So, you've been listening to us for a little while. So we've dragged you through a lot of things, haven't we? You create your own reality. You said, oh, yay. And then you said, oh, no. And then you went through that phase where you beat up on yourself because the reality you were creating sucked. And then we began talking to you about, with a stronger emphasis, that you are vibrational beings, which is hard for you to accept at first. It's easy to accept when you're thinking about clarity, but it's harder for you to accept when you're thinking about relationship, isn't it? In other words, clarity is something that you could achieve right now. In fact, don't you feel pretty clear right now just listening to us? We're just really excellent teachers. You do. You are feeling reasonable clarity as a result of this conversation. But if you were to focus upon something that you want that hasn't manifested yet, it would induce within you a different feeling in most cases. Because when you want something that you're not yet living, you're in the not yet living it awareness introducing resistance into the equation. So we talk to you in vibrational terms because we want you to accept that you are vibrational and that the vibration that you offer is about the thought you think. It's about the focus. So when we use words like vibration or energy, we're talking about the same thing. When we use words like thought or energy, we're talking about the same thing. Or vibration, we're talking about the same thing. So how do you know? How do you measure what you're doing vibrationally? Because you don't exactly have someone brought to one of the gatherings an electronic contraption that he thought everyone should buy and hook themselves up to. And we said, it's cumbersome. You don't need some outside meter telling you what you're doing vibrationally. The meter didn't even work. You've got this vibrational guidance system within you that is your emotions. So when you feel something like ease or clarity, that means that there is little or no resistance within you right now. You are not contradicting your own thought. So when you say, I want this, wouldn't it be nice to have such and such? And you just visualize being it or doing it or having it or living it. Wouldn't that be nice? And the idea of it just feels so good to you. And then you say, but, hardly anybody is doing that. You have just introduced unnecessary resistance to the equation. Why would you do that? Because you've been trained to be realist. You've been trained to be objective. You've been trained to weigh the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses. And we say, you've done enough of that. You've sifted through enough and put enough in your vibrational reality to keep yourselves busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. This is the phase of your life where what you're wanting to do is purify or clarify your vibrational flow. And you do that by caring about how you feel when you think the thought. But we know that unless you have played the game, as Esther did, for a month, she's 6 or 7 weeks into it now, you really don't have any personal awareness. It's hard for you to tell those vibrational subtleties until you get yourself really in a place where you have felt for a period of time a chronic feeling of lack of resistance, because you don't know you've got resistance until you've experienced enough time without it. Does that make sense to you? And so in the beginning, when people would come to us and they would say, what's the best thing that you can teach us? We would say meditation, because it's easier for us to teach you to have no thought than it is to teach you to have pure positive thought, because you've got enough momentum going on enough thoughts that are resistant in nature. In other words, don't you sort of automatically introduce resistance? Isn't there a but to almost everything? And do you know the reason that you do that is because you're trying to explain to others where you are. We wish you would cut that out. You're trying to explain to others why you're where you are. I'm standing here. I really want that. But well, you're not ever going to do that again without remembering us playing with you here today and reminding you that you, in those kinds of verbal or mental offerings, are introducing unnecessary resistance into your vibrational patterning, which is just bogging you down. Until you are deliberately reaching for sustained alignment and consciously acknowledging that you've got it going on, then often you just have to experience the results of the decisions that you make. In other words, we know that what you're saying is, how do I know in advance before I make the decision? We always say there are two ways to know what your state of alignment is. One is by the way you feel, and the other is by the way things are manifesting. So if you haven't accomplished it and you make a decision, and that's undoubtedly the reason that you're posing the question in the way that you are, everyone has outcomes that are less productive or less successful than they would like to have. And that's just one way of knowing that they made the decision and they took the action before they found alignment. What this discussion is all about is helping you to make sure that you find the alignment before you take the action. And so it isn't until you make the commitment to care about how you feel and you do it with enough consistency that you know that you're there, that you can ever really begin to trust your own instincts. The best part about deliberate creating, everybody's creating because everybody's offering a vibration and the world is responding to the vibration that they're offering, but most people are creating by default. In other words, they're just offering their vibration all over the place in response to what they're observing, and they're not offering any real deliberate control about it. But the best part about getting hold of this in the way that you all are here today, and deliberately focusing yourself on purpose, and then getting to see the results of that focus, that's the way you come to trust that this feels like that and this feels like that. You get to the place where you'll be moving along in a relationship, doesn't matter what kind of relationship, in a co-creation of some kind, and you will feel this feeling, and you will be able to say, oh, I relate this feeling to that outcome that happened before. Now we're really onto something. That sounds really simple, doesn't it? I remember I had this feeling before and it didn't turn out all that well. But what most people don't understand is that you can control the feeling right now. You think the feeling is in response to something, so you have no control. So instead of controlling the feeling, which is just a matter of controlling the thoughts, you set to control outcomes that you can't control. Make sense to you? Where if you really get it, that you can control the feeling. So when it starts to get a little off, bring it back by becoming more general, by getting more general and more general. But we've been writing books and processes, endless processes. There are more coming. endless processes, and all of them are designed to help you to improve your vibrational alignment with source. That's what all of them are. All of them are designed to help you lower resistance and improve alignment or allowing. And even as the author of all of those processes, we want to say to you that if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would make a new commitment to ourselves to pay attention to how we feel when we wake up and do our best to sustain it just for a little while and watch the power of that momentum. You woke up in the outer atmosphere and you had 17 seconds to adjust into this atmosphere. And so the next time you wake up cranky, you're going to ask yourself the question, if you've been paying attention at all here today, what could I have done different to improve the way I feel right now? That's why we're saying it takes 30 days. It takes a while to show yourself that you can do it. And in some ways, it would be great fun if we could replicate this exact gathering with these exact people after 30 days of you really doing that, and listen to you revel in amazement at the clarity that you've found and in how this is smoothing out and this is smoothing out and this is smoothing out. Our answer to your question is unsatisfying in the sense that words don't teach, and you just have to monkey around with it till you find your rhythm. That really is the best way of explaining this. But when we teach you how the laws of the universe work, and then you take us at our word and make the effort to apply just a little bit and then get results, the results are what show you. Everything is relational. So there is this version of what you want relative to investments, successful choosing, putting not so much in, getting steady, consistent out. In other words, there's this version of what you want that is out there, and as you question it or doubt it or remember opposite things from happening, then you don't get any momentum going on that version. You get momentum going on the other version. So it really boils down to how much airtime am I giving to the different vibrational realities that are out there. You have all created enough different vibrational realities to keep yourself busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. The question is, are you going to exercise the control that is available to you through the focus of your own mind to actualize or demonstrate the realities that will be pleasing when they unfold? See, this is the most exciting conversation that we're about to have. We're just going to enjoy it ourselves before we deliver it to you, and you mess it up with your confusion. But so, there are different vibrational discs. Do you sort of kind of get that?
Yes.
Feeling really good, feeling really bad, and everything in between. And these discs are your point of attraction. And for sake of simplicity, let's call them your current mood. So there's that. There's your vibrational frequency, which is how close in proximity are you to the frequency of your source. That really is what you're feeling with those moods or emotions. So love is a high frequency with little resistance, and despair is a lower frequency. But in these frequencies, there is also momentum. In other words, we liked how you used the word inspired. You can be inspired to punch somebody in the nose. You can just take so much. In other words, you listen to them, you sort of put up with it, you listen some more. You remembered all of the people who were like that you've ever lived with during your life. You sort of nodded with the people that were at the table with you. You saw the tension of those around you. You went 17 seconds and 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 68 seconds and another and another and another, and it's been a half an hour and you've been listening to this person, and there's momentum that has built within you until you are inspired to punch their lights out. Yeah? So there's inspiration and there's inspiration. So we want to call inspiration momentum.
Okay.
And we want to say that momentum is possible on any disc. So we want you to get on the high-flying disc before you decide anything. So let's say that someone has something to gain by selling you something. And it's not exactly a win-win situation, and they know it because they're not offering you the fair value that you want. But it's sort of the way the game's played. If you're not smart enough to know that you're being taken advantage of, then there are people who feel like it's fine to take advantage of you, and there's no arbitrator out there in the sky who's sorting all of that out. In other words, that's why you want your gut to guide you. You want to intuitively know what to do. So let's say that that person is so determined that they are going to sell this today, and they have supreme momentum going, and you woke up foggy. You're not on your high-flying disc. You don't have your own momentum going. And so you visit with them who has momentum going. Can you see how you can be drawn into their momentum? And so it's really about where you are before you rendezvous in that physical action-oriented way. Jerry used to say, on a pretty regular basis, if you don't have goals of your own, you become part of other people's goals. And what he was actually saying is, there are people with momentum all around. And if you're walking around without very much momentum of your own going, it doesn't take very much of your attention to their momentum before you become part of their momentum. The question is their momentum in vibrational alignment with you and your high-flying disc? That's the question. And you won't know that until you get on your high-flying disc and then, and get on your high-flying disc and then, and get on your high-flying disc and then.